Jake, a curious and driven 10-year-old from a modest neighborhood in Ohio, always felt different from the other kids. While his friends talked about video games and school dances, Jake was fascinated by how money worked. He'd watch documentaries, read business stories on his mom's old phone, and even took notes from garage sale signs. One summer morning, as the sun poured through his window, Jake decided he was going to do something no other kid on the block had ever done: start a business. Jake's family wasn't rich. His dad worked night shifts as a factory mechanic and his mom cleaned houses. But what they lacked in money, they made up for in love. When Jake told his mom he needed $5 to start a lemonade stand, she didn't hesitate. They walked to the grocery store together, Jake picking out lemons, sugar, and cups while mentally calculating the profit margin. That same afternoon, he painted a cardboard sign and placed his stand under the big oak tree in their yard. At first, no one stopped. Cars passed, neighbors waved, but nobody seemed interested. Jake stood there sweating under the summer sun, his confidence slipping. Just as he was about to pack up, an elderly man from across the street walked over. "Hot day," he said with a smile, handing Jake $1. "Keep the change." That small gesture flipped a switch inside Jake. He wasn't just a kid with lemonade. He was an entrepreneur, and this was his first sale. Jake kept coming back every day. Some days were slow, others better. Rain would cancel business, and sometimes he'd only make a few dollars. But instead of quitting, he started asking customers what they liked best. He added mint to the lemonade. He offered half-off deals. He even learned to smile more. He realized that business wasn't just about the product. It was about the experience. Jake was learning faster than most adults ever do. By the time Jake turned 13, he had saved nearly $1,200. While his friends spent money on shoes and gadgets, Jake reinvested. He started selling bottled lemonade at local youth soccer games, school fundraisers, and neighborhood events. He designed labels, made business cards, and even gave his company a name, Fresh Squeeze Co. He wasn't playing anymore. This was a real hustle, and Jake was all in. But then came his first big failure. At a local festival, Jake spent all his savings on a giant booth. The weather turned cold and foot traffic was slow. He barely sold anything. That night, Jake sat alone, disappointed and broke. But he didn't cry. He pulled out his notebook and wrote down every mistake: poor weather planning, no backup plan, and overconfidence. Failures are teachers, he told himself. That night, Jake learned the power of reflection. Jake began watching YouTube videos about branding and marketing. He learned about color psychology, customer behavior, and social media strategy. He redesigned his lemonade label using free online tools, added a QR code linking to his Instagram, and started posting stories and behind-the-scenes clips. Soon, local teens and influencers began tagging his brand. His following grew, and so did his confidence. He wasn't just making drinks anymore. He was building a brand. At 15, Jake entered a youth entrepreneurship contest. He pitched Fresh Squeeze Co. with passion and clarity, explaining his journey, setbacks, and vision. The judges were blown away. He didn't win first place, but a small business investor in the audience approached him afterward and offered $5,000 in seed funding. For Jake, this moment was life-changing. It proved that someone believed in his dream beyond family and friends. With the funding, Jake scaled up. He partnered with a small local bottling company, printed high-quality labels, and upgraded his packaging. He began distributing his lemonade to corner stores, cafes, and farmers markets. Orders started coming in faster than he could keep up. Every weekend, he packed coolers in his dad's truck and delivered with pride. Each handshake and smile made the late nights worth it. Success brought pressure. Jake was now juggling school, deliveries, social media, and customer service. He burned out. His grades slipped. He got overwhelmed and almost shut the whole business down. But with his mom's advice, he learned to delegate. He hired a few classmates to help with deliveries and packaging, and even built a simple scheduling app with help from a friend. For the first time, Jake saw the power of building a team. By the time he graduated high school, Jake had sold over 50,000 bottles of lemonade and saved $40,000 in profits. He had become a known figure in his town. Instead of applying to college, he doubled down on Fresh Squeeze Co., determined to see how far he could go. He told himself, college will always be there, but this opportunity won't. Jake spent a year networking. He attended business expos, pitched at youth startup events, and met mentors from all over the country. One angel investor saw his potential and offered to match whatever Jake had saved, doubling his capital to $80,000. Jake used the money to launch an official production space, build a website, and hire a small staff. Fresh Squeeze Co. was no longer a kid's dream. It was a startup with real infrastructure. His story went viral. A journalist picked up Jake's journey and published an article titled, "The Teen Who Bottled the American Dream." Views exploded. Orders surged. National distributors reached out. Jake found himself in meetings with major retailers and food brands. He stayed grounded, remembering where it all began, but he also knew it was time to level up. One day, Jake got an offer from a large beverage company to buy Fresh Squeeze Co. for $3.2 million. He was just 19. It was a dream come true, but also a crossroads. He talked to his family, his mentors, and even sat alone in the park where he used to sell lemonade as a kid. In the end, he said yes, but only on one condition. He would remain the creative lead. He wanted to ensure the soul of the company stayed alive. After the acquisition, Jake traveled the country, giving talks about youth entrepreneurship. He told his story in schools, podcasts, and business panels. He emphasized failure, resilience, and starting small. People admired his honesty and simplicity. He wasn't flashy or arrogant. He just believed deeply that anyone could build something amazing if they refused to quit. Jake started investing. He supported young entrepreneurs, especially those from underprivileged backgrounds. He created a fund for teens with big ideas but no resources. "Someone gave me a shot," he'd say. "Now I'm paying it forward." His mission became bigger than lemonade. It was about legacy. By 25, Jake had launched 2 more startups, each rooted in community and creativity. He always kept a bottle of Fresh Squeeze Co. on his desk. As a reminder, every time someone asked how he did it, he'd smile and say, "It all started with a cardboard sign and $5." Jake's story became a case study at universities. Professors used it to teach branding, grit, and emotional intelligence in business. Jake himself never went back to college, but he was invited as a guest speaker at places like Harvard and Stanford. The boy who once stood nervously behind a lemonade stand now spoke to crowds of future CEOs. Despite all the fame and success, Jake remained grounded. He still visited his childhood neighborhood, helped local schools, and mentored kids with side hustles. His core never changed. Humble, thoughtful, and driven by purpose. That's what made him truly remarkable. Jake's journey is a reminder to all of us. You don't need millions to start, just the courage to begin. From cardboard signs to boardrooms, his life proved that dreams built with heart and hustle can shape the world. So the next time you see a kid with a lemonade stand, remember, you might just be looking at the next great entrepreneur.